one of the videos that I wish that more people are talking about, but they're not. So since they're not, I'm going to make sure I talk about it as much as possible. So I hope everyone's doing good. What's going on, Brother Brown? Um, yeah, please share this video. I cannot stress this video enough because the topic that we're going to talk about, I'm only going to talk about one topic tonight. And the topic that we're going to talk about tonight is a topic that is, let's just say that this topic is near and dear to my heart and also your heart. But also, if you are a person of color, black, if you are ally, if you are a person who cares about those that are less fortunate, this video is for you. But if you're not a person who cares about that, because we do have a lot who watch, if you're a person who are looking for gotcha things and stuff that I'm going to talk about with other people, this may not be your video. But if you're a person who is looking for truth and depth, this video right now is definitely for you. I cannot stress this enough. Let me get out some thank yous and some pleasantries. Thank you guys for joining. If you're not following me, please follow me on Twitter. Here's my Twitter handle, @MarkLamar. Please follow me on Twitter. Also, if you haven't gone over to like our YouTube page, and if you're watching this on YouTube, please definitely click the subscribe button. I need you guys to subscribe this channel. I'm loading up videos as I shoot this and other videos that I'm working on to that channel. So we're trying to grow that channel there. And if you're not on Facebook and if you're watching on YouTube, definitely please follow me, please. All right. Got a little bit of that out the way. I'm Mark Lewis, trying to get some of these pleasantries out of the way. Mark Lewis, activist, just a concerned person. If you don't know anything about me, please just go over to my website, marklewis.com, or go over to our network page at marklewisnetwork.com. All right. Now that's out of the way. So let's talk about some meat. And again, if the stream doesn't hold up, just stay with it. It may just start glitching a little bit, but hopefully the stream will hold up because we got a lot of information to talk about tonight. We got a lot of things to talk about. So listen, first off, what I'm going to say to you is going to be backed up with data. What I'm going to say to you is going to be backed up with stuff. This is not just me spewing my words out. Yes, this is my commentary, but I'm going to give you facts and data. Okay. So that's why I think it's important for you to share this video, because the facts and data is showing something differently than what your family and friends are saying. Right. So that's why I want you to share this video, because a lot of people believe that the data is not, or a lot of people believe that something is not true. So tonight, what I'm going to talk about, and you saw the title, is Oklahoma incarcerates, what did I title this thing? Oklahoma incarcerates black people. And I want to talk about that tonight because there was a report that kind of triggered this topic. It says Oklahoma incarcerate black people. Yep, absolutely. All right. I want to talk about this because a couple of years ago, I start off this way. A couple of years ago, there was this report. I'm going to bring this report on the screen here. I'll bring this report on the screen. This report says that Tulsa. This is a Tulsa World article. Okay. This is a Tulsa World article. So this is not me just saying something. This is a Tulsa World article. The date on here is Corey Jones and Curtis Killman both wrote this article. Hey guys, if you don't know who Corey is, Corey has done excellent work in their reporting over there at Tulsa World. And Curtis he follows the federal level over there at Tulsa World. He's the one, he's so quiet, but he's killer in his writing. Anyway, they wrote this piece. It says, black people arrested twice as much as other arrests. Analysts of Tulsa police data shows. Okay. So I'm just going to read a little bit of this for the people in the back. It says well, hold on one second. It says Tulsa police arrested and cited black people at a rate greater than others in the past 5 years, according to Tulsa World Analyst of Government Data. In 2012, the African American arrest rate by Tulsa police officers were more than 2 times that of non-black people. A World Analyst of Data provides by the department indicates. Tulsa Municipal Court data indicates that black people were ticketed by Tulsa police at a greater rate than others too during the 2012 to 2016 period. This was analyzed by the Tulsa World. Okay. So this report came out back in 2017. It is now 2019. So this report came out then. And when this report came out, I was livid while I watched it. And this was back in 2017. I, like many of you who saw this report, was pissed off. And I was like, okay, this is not good. So I put out a statement, as usual, to the powers that be, to everyone 2 years ago. And the response that we got from this was, well, let's look at the data. Okay. This is just Tulsa. Okay. He says, well, we don't know. That was the response. The mayor responded that way. There was a Vera Institute came out with a report, was talking about the racial disparities. Okay. And it talked about how many people, and if you guys want that report, I actually have that report if you want to read it. And it talked about the racial disparities that are affecting Tulsa, just Tulsa alone. And it echoed pretty much what Tulsa World has done. So you know what the solution Tulsa did? Did they start a study? No. Did they calling people to find out why is there such a racial targeted problem dealing with police arresting people? No. You know what they did? They built the jail. They opened up a city jail. That's what they did. They opened up a city jail. That's exactly what they did. They did not try to figure out, is this targeted or not? Now, some of you guys may be sitting back and saying to yourself, well, black people in Tulsa do more crime, because there are a lot of people who believe that, right? There are a lot of people who believe that black people just do a lot more crime in Tulsa than any other city. And this is why black people are arrested twice as much. So here's some facts right here. Black people in Tulsa are only 14.93% of the population. 14, let's just round it off. I give you 15. Okay. 15%. That's all black people make up of. Okay. Black people make up 15%. White people in Tulsa is around 60%. Black people around 15%. So you're telling me that the 15% of the population, okay, the 15% of the population is arrested twice as much than the majority. That wouldn't make sense, right? If you have to think about it, if you have this pool of apples, right? And you take these pool of apples and you have the majority of these apples that are green apples. And then within that pool, you have red apples. So you're telling me that majority of all these green apples are not being arrested more than the ones that are the red apples. It doesn't make sense. The numbers doesn't lie, right? The numbers just don't lie. So the answer that the mayor has was, we're going to build a jail. That was the answer. Not that we're going to focus our energy on finding out why African Americans in the city of Tulsa are targeted. Because I say targeted. The reason I said targeted is because how can you have twice as much of people being arrested in a city where they only have a population of 15%? That's targeted. That's not a phenomenal. If you just was sitting down and you put these pool of people together, you obviously are going to get the majority of the people being arrested. Why? Because there's more people. But you have black people being arrested twice as much than any other race. That's in Tulsa alone. Okay? That's in Tulsa alone. So 2 years ago, this data came out. This is now 2019. Nothing has been done. Yes, there's been some talk on independent monitoring. Yes, there's been some talk of this, but there has not been any concrete policy changes. Okay? And the reason I'm telling you about policy changes is because policy is the Bible that police officers go by. The policy. So if it's in the policy, then that means they have to abide by it, right? Not abide by anything that says I'm going to abide by something because I feel the need to abide by. No, you're going to abide by it because it's in policy. Do you know why it's not in policy on some of the issues? Is because they have to go through contract negotiations along with the FOP. That was 2.5 years ago. There's been no policy changes. Before Terrence Crutcher, there's been no policy changes. Eric Harris, there's been no policy changes. Okay? None. So let's cut all the BS out. There's been no policy changes. I understand rhetoric. I understand coming to my church. I understand kumbaya, but there's been no policy changes. And I'm talking about this because Oklahoma is notorious for targeting black people. All right. We know that police officers is the first point of criminal justice before you go to the big slammer. We know that. So you have black people being arrested in Tulsa alone twice as much than their majority. Okay? So that was 2 years ago. Earlier this week, there was a data that came out from Oklahoma policy. All right? I saw this. I wanted to be pissed, but it's the truth. I wanted to be pissed, but it happens. So let me bring this up on the screen here. Okay. This is what it says. It says, and I'm just going to read this to you, and I'm not going to even come on the screen. I'm just going to read this to you. And again, this is from the OK Policy, which is a nonprofit organization. They do a lot of lobbying and all those different things, and they're focusing on criminal justice reform. It says 2019 policy priority criminal justice. Background. It says communities of color are disproportionately affected by incarceration in Oklahoma. 1 in every 15 adult black men in Oklahoma is in prison, giving us the highest rate of black incarceration in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you heard any words that just came out of my mouth. This is what OK Policy has researched within their findings. They have said 1 out of every 15 of black men, black men are in prison in Oklahoma, giving Oklahoma the highest rate of black incarceration in America. Not in your little rural area, in America. Highest incarceration than Chicago, highest incarceration than Atlanta, highest incarceration than LA, higher incarceration than Philadelphia, Florida. Let's name states that we often hear a lot of people use as targets. New York, nope. California, nope. Florida, no. Louisiana, no. Now, we know that Oklahoma has for the last 15 years been number one for incarceration of women. That's what we know. Oklahoma has been number one for incarceration of women for the last 15 years. Just recently last year, since Louisiana has moved down because they have done criminal justice reform the right way in Louisiana, they have reduced their prison population, giving Oklahoma yet again another reward. Number one for the highest men incarceration. So here's the banter. I'm going to give you three banters that Oklahoma is proud of right now. Number one for the highest incarceration of women. Number one for the highest incarceration of men. And number one for the highest incarceration of black men. I hope you guys understanding what I'm saying, and I hope this pisses your ass off like never before. The highest in the country, not the city, the country. There's no other state that has the highest incarceration of women. There's no other state that has the highest incarceration of men. And when you break that down from men, the highest incarceration of black men. Okay. That's what it says. Now, let me go on to some other stats, what they said. Let me bring this on the screen. It also goes on to say Native Americans make up 9% of Oklahoma's population, but Native American women make up about 12% of the incarceration rate in the state. Hispanics are also overrepresented in Oklahoma's prison, making up 9% of the state population and 15% of the prison. Let me continue going and read this, because this is thank you. You know what? Let me just come out and say this right now. Oklahoma policy, thank you. Thank you for the work that you've done. This information is invaluable, because without this research, we wouldn't have known. So let me go on and keep talking about this. All right, here we go. It also goes on to say that communities of color are also most burdened by fines and fees for Oklahoma's court system. When low-income defendants can't keep up with the court debt, a warrant may be issued for their arrests, leading to a cycle of incarceration that makes the climb out of poverty nearly impossible. Disparities of incarceration and court debt feeds into the multi-generational cycle of trauma and economic inequalities. Now, what did I tell you? I showed you 2 years ago. I said that I showed you this article 2 years ago. Black people arrested twice as much as other nationalities. What was the solution that the mayor did? He created a prison. He created a jail, a city jail. What did I just tell you? What Oklahoma policy just said is that fines and fees lead to higher incarceration. Do you guys see what's going on here? The solution is a jail or a prison or a halfway house, something in the incarceration, something in that incarceration window. You see that? You see that? Now, right now, I want to focus on blacks, because let me tell you something. Black people only make up 10% of the population in Oklahoma. Black people only make up 10% of the population. Now, if you are a mother and you're listening to this and you have some black sons, I want you to turn around and look at your black son. And I want you to turn around and say to yourself, picture 15 of their friends. 15. Black son or black boyfriend or black husband. I want you to picture 15 of them. And out of that 15, just picture them in a lineup. It could be some cousins or whoever. Black men living in Oklahoma. I want you to picture 15 people. One out of that 15 is going to go to prison living in Oklahoma. One out of that 15. That is the scenario. What's happening right now. One out of that 15 would have been in prison that are black men. 10% of the population. Now, you're probably asking in reference to what does the other numbers look like? I don't know. We have to dig deep and find out what the other numbers are looking like. At this point in time, I don't give a damn. I don't care about those other numbers. What I care about is the fact that 10% of the population is serving the majority of the prison sentences. That's what I care about. I care about when you have a city such as Tulsa who has 15% of the population is African American, but they are arrested twice as much than any other nationality in this city. That's what I care about. That's what I care about. So we sit back and we go through these meetings and we do these kumbaya. Oh, I got the mayor's cell phone. I got this. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything when your son or your daughter is arrested in the state of Oklahoma. That just adds to the prison population. That just adds to it. And here we talk about the system all the time. We always talk about the system. Let me tell you something. The system gives leeway. It gives a sentencing guidelines leeway. But somehow the sentencing disparity, it's always on the lower, it's always on the higher end when it comes to people of color, Black, Latino, Native Americans. It's always on the higher end. Now, we can get pissed off about all this and we can say, oh, this is crapped up, this and that. But what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? We can sit down and we can complain, we can do all this stuff, but what are we honestly going to do about it? Right now, economics is driving the state, whether it's oil, whether it's people that's coming to Oklahoma City, Tulsa, or whatever the surrounding cities that are focused their energy on minority development. They are coming in these cities, giving revenue, giving dollars, giving cents. Now, one of the things I really don't understand is simply this. Why? They probably don't know. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give them a benefit of the doubt. And this is what I'm proposing. I'm proposing that communities of color, conventions, all of these things that you're bringing economics to Oklahoma, stop. Look to another state. Because let me tell you something. Until the state gets serious about their disparity, number one, until this state gets serious about their high incarceration, until this state gets serious about the disparities on their targets of who they're going to incarcerate, who they're not going to incarcerate, then we don't need economics from minority-owned businesses coming to this state, driving revenue up, when they are turning around and putting their foot around the necks of Black people. 1 in 15 are incarcerated. So you can look at me, you can be pissed off or whatever the case may be, but I'm telling you this now. Oklahoma loves to incarcerate. And don't sugarcoat this. Don't sugarcoat this and say, oh, well, there are white people in prison. Think, y'all, think, okay? I'm not saying that there are not white people incarcerated. I'm saying that there is a targeted effort. There's a targeted effort for African Americans to be in prison. It's targeted. No, they're not going out there and rounding up African Americans with a noose or with a whatever, a string or whatever. They're not doing that. But what they are doing is creating a system that if you don't pay your fines and fees, we're going to lock you up. Most people will get payment plans. They would get they get deferred and all those different things to keep them out of the prison industrial complex. Now you may say to yourself, oh, probation. Guys, probation is also considered a form of sentence. Just want to make sure you guys are aware of this. Probation is a form of sentence. And when you get sentenced on probation, you have to still go through the DOC in reference to them having your probational officer and all those different things. That number still counts. Okay. Just because you're not behind bars. See, I just want you guys to understand this. So while I was watching this, and I was reading this, and I said to myself, well, let's look at some black facts, right? Some black facts, because I'm thinking to myself, the two largest cities that possibly carry Oklahoma is Oklahoma City. The two largest black populations should be Oklahoma City and also Tulsa. No, it's not. It's not at all. Not at all. Let me bring this up on the screen right here. There we go. Let's just talk about the top 10 cities right here. The top 10 cities where African Americans, the percentage of African Americans. It shocked me to the Hugo, Oklahoma has 22% African Americans. Hugo, Oklahoma. Had no clue. Been through Hugo before. It's down there off of Indian Creek Turnpike. It's the last city before you get to Texas, and they have a problem with their water. 22% of African Americans. Ida Bell, 20%. Midwest City has 20%. Lawton has 19%. Dell City, 19. We're just going to say 19. We just round them off. That would be 20. Lawton would be 20. Okmulgee, 19%. Guthrie, Oklahoma, 17%. Well, 18. We're rounded off. Muskogee, 15%. Tulsa, 15%. And Oklahoma City, 15%. Why am I talking about these numbers right here? And I'm going to tell you why I'm talking about these numbers. Because when you sit back and you say to yourself, in the state of Oklahoma, African Americans, 1 in 15 African Americans are in prison in Oklahoma, I guarantee you they're coming from one of these top 10 cities where the African Americans are in higher population. Y'all got this? Because this is marinating right now. I know. So, for the people in the back, let me go back and say all this again, because I need to repeat this. Communities of color in Oklahoma are disproportionately affected by incarceration in Oklahoma. 1 in every 15 adult black men in Oklahoma is in prison, giving us the highest rate of black incarceration in the country. The highest. And like I said before, these cities, Hugo, Idabel, Midwest City, Lawton, Dale City, Okmulgee, Guthrie, Muskogee, Tulsa, and Oklahoma City are the top 10 cities where African Americans have the highest population. This is according to the census data. So if you were to ask yourself this question, where are these black people coming from? I guarantee you they're coming from these top 10 cities. Now, we don't know the origin of where these black people are from, what cities they're coming from, but we can look at it from the state perspective. You're going to pull from a larger pool, and the larger pool of these top 10 cities. Shonda, you said, are there prisons in those towns? Because that court, because that counts. I wouldn't think so, because McAllister would be on the tops. No, I don't think so. I don't think this has anything to do with the prison that's there. I think this has a lot to do with the incarceration. Now, let me go on to Oklahoma's policy. They said this is their solution. Basically, what can you do? What can you do? This is what they're advising you. Contact your state senator to add racial impact statements to their criminal justice legislation. Ask them to help end racial disparities in justice outcomes by evidence-based analysis and reliance on data to create a system which treats all Oklahomans fair under the law. So I'm going to go a step further and say this. If you are a black organization and you're looking to bring business within this city, you need to consider not to. Within this state, you need to consider not to. Why? Because what ends up happening is simply this. If you're a black organization, you're going to feed to the economy here. The economy obviously is being used to create more prisons. Trickle down effect. If you are a church organization or whatever organizations and you're having conventions, meetings, and all these different people, artists, Cardi B, all of these African-American artists that are coming to the state of Oklahoma to bring in revenue, I need you to consider what's happening right now to African Americans. I want you to consider it and say to yourself, should I come to this city and continue doing what I'm doing, or should I not go in protest to make sure that the people who live in Oklahoma, or these legislators who live in Oklahoma, get serious about 1 in every 15 black men in Oklahoma is incarcerated? Do I want to come to this state? Do I want to come to this state and to generate revenue to help with your prison industrial complex? Now, you're probably watching and be like, oh, their money doesn't directly go to help. But listen, somehow it's helping. Somehow they're getting money to fund these prisons. Highest incarceration for women, highest incarceration for men, highest incarceration for black men. What are we going to do? I get it. We're going to dance. We're going to laugh. We're going to shout. We have connections with legislators. But if your legislator is not being serious about criminal justice reform and the racial disparities on the criminal justice aspect, they don't need to be in office. They don't need to be in office. If they're not serious about this, this is an epidemic, y'all. This is an epidemic. There's no place in the country that has these stats. No place in the country that says that African Americans are in prison at the highest. There's no place in the country but in Oklahoma. What are the legislators going to do to get serious about this? I don't care who they are. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Libertarian, Green Party. I don't care. What are you going to do about this? Because if you're not serious about doing anything about this racial disparity in the arrests, this racial disparity in prisons, I have no love for you. None. Because what's happening is that your policies will enable people to go out there and arrest people twice as much, arrest black people in Tulsa twice as much. The city of Tulsa, the city council can do a study on why black people are arrested twice as much. The city of Tulsa can do a study to look at this data and to find out why black people are arrested twice as much. The city of Tulsa can do that. That's something they can do. The city of Tulsa City Council can run a study to find out what leads to this growing dynamic problem, because it's nothing but a baby problem that creates a problem of 1 in 15 black men are incarcerated in the state of Oklahoma. It starts from the bottom. The bottom is police are going after arresting these people. Here's what happened. Police officers arrest you. You get charged from the DA. The DA turns around, charges you. You get a penalty, whether it's probation or you go behind bars. You go there. Now you're a statistic. Now you're behind bars for whatever years. You see that cycle? That cycle has to be cut off. And don't sit here and tell me it is not targeted. That's BS. You cannot have the majority of the population underserving themselves in prison. You cannot have the majority of the population underserving themselves in prison. The numbers that doesn't make sense. And when stuff don't make sense, we need people who are really serious. I understand you want to bring the BMX Center to Tulsa, but there will be protests and boycotts unless this stuff is not handled. I understand we want to have the economic engine of the BOK, but there will be protests until we recognize why African Americans are arrested twice as much in the city of Tulsa. There will be people who are pushing on legislators in the proper way to make sure that these legislators are writing initiatives to make sure they're looking at racial disparities. There will be. And we're also calling for people on the outside of Tulsa who wants to and who are African American business owners, who are bringing economics to your state, to this state, calling on them to think before they come and say to themselves, You guys are locking up black people. Why I need to come here? You guys are locking up black people. I got a son, a daughter. I'm bringing a team of 20 black men or black women, and I'm bringing millions of dollars to your city, in one night. Why should I have a concert here in your state to generate revenue when you guys are not serious about your politics here? Cut all the hoopla, the basketball teams. I get it. They run it. The Oklahoma Thunder is doing what they can do. And it's not fair for us to call upon them to be a voice, but I just want them to look at this data, look at this, and to make sure that you are using your power to create change. This number is embarrassing to the to the state of Oklahoma. This number right here is embarrassing to the state of Oklahoma. How in the world are you going to have the state of Oklahoma have 1 in every 15 adult black men in Oklahoma in prison, giving Oklahoma the highest rate of blacks? Angela, you asked about the percentage of black women in prison. I don't know, but I will find out. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you tonight. That's it. That's all I have. Please share this video. Please share this. This is non-propaganda. This is actual things and data. And whether you like me or not, the words that are coming out my mouth needs to fall onto the ears who have people who have power to bring about change. Do something. Do something about racial disparity when you're talking about the prison industrial complex. Do something. If you're in power to do something, do something. Make a change. You're watching. What can you do? Call on your legislators to have them look at racial disparities. Call on your city councils. Call on your mayors. Call on your governor, Kevin Stent, to have him to do a study to find out, why do we incarcerate so many people, number one, in this state? Number two, why do we incarcerate so many women? And number three, why are we incarcerating the majority of black men in this state when only black people alone make up 10%? And I don't even know the number. What's the percentage of black men in the state of Oklahoma? I'm talking about black people, but this statistics is talking about black men. So I can tell you that number is going to be lower than 10%. That's all I have for you guys tonight. Thank you guys for watching. I will be back tomorrow night. No, I won't be back tomorrow night. Tomorrow night I have an event that I want you guys to know about. I will be at Magic City Books tomorrow night. Magic City Books tomorrow night. There's an author who is coming into Tulsa to talk about young people getting involved in the city and in politics. So meet me there. Meet me there tomorrow night, please. I believe it's at 7. I'm going to get this direct information for you, and it's pulling up right now. So just meet me there tomorrow because I want to see you. I want to talk to you, and I will be talking about this topic also tomorrow night. Why? Because it is so near and dear to my heart. Why? Because I'm black and I have a black son. And also the fact that I care enough about you. I care enough about the disparities, and you should care enough about it. Don't just sit back and watch this video and be like, nah, this ain't affecting me. I'm white. I got my white kids. Nah, don't do that. Sit back and say to yourself, what is it that I can do? What is it that I can do to bring about change? How can I use my power, my privilege, my whatever to bring about change? How can I do that? How is it that I can do that? Because I think, to me, that is more important than anything. Like I said before, I don't care if you are a Republican, a Libertarian, a Democrat. I don't care. What I care about is that you are willing to make a change. You are willing to make a difference in your state that you live in. Because let me tell you, if you're not willing to make a difference in your state, in this state, if you're not willing to make that difference, then you're going to have people leaving. You're going to have people leaving the state that are black men. You're going to have them leaving. And the reason you're going to have them leaving is simply because of this. People are sick and tired of going and visiting their loved ones in prison. People are sick and tired of that. And I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of the phone calls. And not to say I don't care about the phone calls. What I care about is simply this. What I care about is the fairness. If you're going to have a law, let's use this law to apply to everyone, not just people of color. So it'll be Magic City tomorrow night in reference to, I'll be there tomorrow night. Magic City is at 7. It's going to be at 7:00 tomorrow, 221 East Archer Street. 221 East Archer Street. It's we're going to be talking to an author. His name is Scott. God, I wish I had his last name. I'm sorry. I've just been traveling and going back and forth. So a lot of stuff has slipped my mind. But anyway, I will post the event calendar here for you guys so you can register and hopefully you guys can come because I definitely want to see you. I haven't done a good job in advertising this as much, but this is it right here. It's called The Power of Youth in Politics, Generation Citizen. So please, 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 please let me see you tomorrow night. I will post this event there in the chat group. All right, that's all I got, guys. Thank you so much. And God bless. Take care. And I'll see y'all later. Peace.